I thought we would just enjoy a day kind of talking about simple living. I grew up with simple living. My parents were farmers, and I grew up in a rural area in Kansas, not far from where I live now. And simple living is where I am most comfortable. So I'm really happy to spend my retirement also enjoying simple living. Let me know if you have been able to experience it, and if you do, where you live and some of the things that you enjoy about the simple life. So I hope you enjoy this video. Sitting out here today drinking my coffee. The weather is very mild and breezy, and Bernie's hanging out with me, and we are just enjoying listening to the birds sing. If you watched my videos with my morning glories last year, you would know that this entire fence line was covered with them. Well, these came up wild. Seeds must have dropped. This is normally my tomato pot, but look down here. Morning glories. And then you come over here. Oh my gosh, these are all morning glories. Our entire yard here is being taken up with them, so it should be beautiful when they finally start blooming. Over here, these are all morning glories, and then they're also popping up in weird places like some of the other planters that I have here in the yard. I love coming out every day and checking on my plants and seeing how they have grown. And then down here, I have a whole bunch of little squash plants coming up, or they could be cucumbers because I planted a few different times to get something to come up. So I guess we'll see what they are when they get bigger. I've been harvesting the green stems on my onions down to just one per plant, and look how quickly they grow back. They are ready to be harvested again, and then I just freeze them in a bag. I've transplanted a couple of my basil. I have a couple more to transplant, but they are doing really well outside as well. This is my first year to have basil, and I plan on growing it all winter long in my house and just keeping the plants going. When I traveled to Quartzsite this past spring, I had a lot of people ask me, well, what do you do down there? What would you do? It would be so boring there in the desert. But I really saw a lot of similarities between there and where I live. We have vegetation here, of course, but the similarities that I saw was you can watch the sunsets unimpeded. We have the most beautiful sunsets here. You can see the stars perfectly because there's no city lights blocking them out. One thing I love about living here is I feel like it taps into my creativity so much. Since I'm so far from a grocery store or being able to go and grab something when I'm thinking of it, I have to make do. I have to come up with other things that I can use in the place of something else. Whether it is repairing something, cooking something, working in the yard. I have some sheds out here and I have all kinds of miscellaneous stuff in there. I've been working on decluttering, but so often some of those things come in handy, whether it is just a wire coat hanger or something like that. So my creativity really is sparked by living out here, and I feel like that helps in my simple living. And no matter where you live, you can tap into that creativity to save yourself money and to live more simply. Our weather's been all over the place. It's been really cold. It's been really hot. It's been really cold again. So I made some hamburger stew, and we ate that for a couple of days, and then it turned really hot. Well, stew didn't sound very good when it turned 90 degrees. So this is what I did to make our food stretch, and I didn't have to leave my house to buy any ingredients. I took the stew and I spread it out in a 13 by 9 pan. There was already some grease and oils in there from me making it with hamburger, so I didn't even spray the bottom. And then I boiled some potatoes and peeled them and made mashed potatoes to put on top to make a shepherd's pie. Now, I normally make shepherd's pie with green beans, tomato sauce, onion, and hamburger. This is going to have a few more vegetables in it, so it'll be more like maybe a cottage pie, but it's going to be delicious. It's not going to be stew in this hot weather, and it will be a way for us to stretch those leftovers into a bunch more meals by just adding the mashed potatoes. And then I put some cheese on top. I sprinkled some paprika. You could put whatever you wanted on here or nothing at all, and then heat it up. Now, I made that recipe with the last 3 carrots that I had in my refrigerator. I added a little bit of shredded cabbage that I had in there. I added onions and potatoes that were getting squishy, and I added some crushed tomatoes in the can and some Rotel that needed used up because the date was recently expired. And then I just seasoned it with some beef bouillon and some salt and pepper. So I just used things I already had on hand to make the stew to begin with, to use up some things that needed used. And now I'm stretching that into a second meal. That is how I do slow living and simple living around here. It makes our food stretch so much farther. We don't have to eat the same thing all the time, and it's always delicious. And I love using my creativity to come up with things like that with my leftovers. Simple living and slow living, it just reminds me of how much I have and how much I don't need. And it gives me insight into what I can do with what I do have. We spend so much time in our lives working, hoping that we would have some home time, and being home is a blessing. I love being out here. I love the fact that I have all of this peace and quiet and all of this space, and that I can plant things in my yard. Being here just fills me with so much gratitude. And I wish that for other people, to find that peace, to find that gratitude in their day-to-day life. Simple living and slow living does that for me. Maybe it doesn't do that for everyone, but it certainly does it for me. It gives me time to feel comfort in my own home. There is a safe space in your own home that hopefully you can find. And having that home feel comfortable and safe, there is just nothing that matches that feeling. You can read, you can take walks, you can do a lot of the things that I do right here in Kansas. And a lot of people enjoy that type of life. But there were quite a few that apparently didn't know what they would do if they were put out here in the middle of nowhere and didn't have a city nearby to find things to do. I love this piece. I need it to thrive. And I love the quiet. The quiet drives some people crazy, but if you are overstimulated where you're at and you come out here, you will find that the quiet is probably what you've been missing. So when I grew up, we had a garden, we had a farm, and my mom did a lot of canning. We did so many things at home, and we didn't leave home much. So everything we needed was right there. And that's how I feel about where I live. Everything I need is right here. I don't have to go to town much. I'm almost getting to the point I dread going when I do have to go, and I put it off as long as possible. I don't know if some people might say that that is unhealthy, but for me, it's just chaotic to have to go into the city, deal with the traffic, deal with lines, have to shop, bring stuff home, unload it, put it away. I just love my day-to-day life where I have everything I need right here. And some people may say that it costs more to live this far from town, but I actually save money doing it. And that is because I stock up when things are on sale and I have a really good pantry. And then I can just stretch out my shopping trips farther and farther apart. And that makes up for the inflation in gas. I used to think that it cost me $10 to leave my yard to go to the city to get groceries and come home. Now it's it's more like 15. But if I can stretch those shopping trips even farther and cut some of those trips out, I've made up that $15. And that's one of the ways that I live simply out here in the middle of nowhere. One thing about simple living is we don't have central heat and air here. We have a propane stove, we have window units. I have a lot of trees around my house, which did cause some problems with some foundation and floor work that I had to have done recently, but these trees had been around since probably the 40s maybe. And so I had some of that done, but I don't have any repairs for central heat and air units. I don't have any filter cost. I don't have anything like that. And then I don't run my AC or my propane unless I absolutely need to. So I don't even have a fan running today. It's about 80 degrees outside. It's a little muggy. It's wanting to rain today. But if I get too hot, I'll turn on a fan. But overall, this house stays fairly cool in the summertime. I love, since I have retired, that I'm able to go back to some of the simple living things that I was raised with, like the gardening. I get so much joy out of growing things and watching them come up and being able to pick them from my yard. My dad was a big gardener. He was a farmer, and I had my own garden when I was younger, and I learned how to grow things from a very young age. And then I got so busy with children and family and household duties that went by the wayside for so long. And now it not only helps me live a simple life, but it helps provide some fun stuff for me to do every day and to look forward to. It provides some organic vegetables for our kitchen, and it brings me peace and satisfaction being able to work with gardening items. You have to be able to know yourself, to know what would bring you happiness. Is it some of these slow, simple, easy routines that would bring you peace and happiness? And could you enjoy that if your life was a little simpler? Because usually simple living equals being able to save money. And that's what we're all looking to do nowadays. But I think we're also all looking to reduce our stress. And simple living does that for me. I hope you've enjoyed this little look into my home and my yard and my life. And I hope you'll come back for another video.